Today, we will talk about illegal immigration, and I will do you the honor of treating you like an adult when we discuss this subject. I find that to be something that's not done by the mainstream media for some strange reason. They act like people cannot handle the truth, reality, and so they have to dress it up and make it flashy or make it some sort of sob story. Well, it's none of that. Illegal immigration is both good and it's bad, and it's a problem that we have been ignoring for a long, long time. Well, now those chickens have come home to roost, and we can no longer ignore it. As many of you know, I am from the state of Arizona, so I will share with you today my unique perspective on the problem of illegal immigration and the new bill that we just signed into law. I'm sure you've heard about it on the news. It's made headlines all across the country, and it's sparked a new political debate about illegal immigration. Let me tell you a little bit about the illegal immigrants that we have here. Now, I'm sure on the news you've seen people screaming about, drugs and gangs and robberies and murders and smugglers. Well, there is an element of that. But by and large, the illegal immigrants in our country are very good people. Honest, hardworking, family men and women. People that you would be proud to call your neighbors. So understand when I talk about them that I have no malice against them. I have nothing against them. If I was from a poor country like Mexico or some of the other South American countries or even any other country in the world, and I came from extreme poverty, well, I would try to get here too, to form a better life, just like they have. In fact, almost all of us would probably try to do what they have done. So let us look at the situation from a rational perspective. We can relate to the illegal immigrants, all of us. But let us also look at the negative factors for those of us who are already living here. Now, as many of you know, I am from Arizona, and the problem is very real. There is something that's called too much of a good thing. And believe me, we have far too much of this, well, not so good thing. A few thousand illegal immigrants from South America would not be a problem. But it turns into a problem when you have 500,000 illegal immigrants living in Arizona. And most of them don't speak English, they don't pay taxes, they drive without auto insurance. I mean, the list goes on and on. They have multiple children that they can't really afford to pay for. They make trips to the emergency room, increasing the wait time and driving up our taxes. So let us be pragmatic and realistic when we look at the situation. One of the things that I find most interesting when I turn on the news and see the debate about the bill are the cries of racism. Well, I, for one, am not racist. I don't care what color your skin is. I am, however, real, and I acknowledge that the majority of the illegal immigrants in the state of Arizona come from South America. That's just the truth. You cannot ignore that fact. They look Hispanic. Alright, let's get that out of the way. But let us also continue to look at the charges of racism and where they're coming from. Now, race has been a very touchy topic in the United States for a long time now. And it's being used as a tool to stifle intelligent debate. If you happen to have an opinion that does not match the opposing side, they are going to call you a racist. It doesn't matter what race you are. You could be Hispanic American, black, Asian, white. They don't care. They will call you a racist so that you feel that you should stop saying what you're saying because, oh no, you don't want to be called a racist. They're such horrible things. It's a tactic that you and I would use if our parents who were living with us were here illegally. Let's say we were anchor babies. Well, I would protest and I would scream that everyone who says anything about this bill being a good thing is a racist because I do not want this bill to pass. It will bring hardship on my life. And we would also say this if we were illegal immigrants. Now, I'm not saying that all of the people who are screaming racism over this are illegals, but I would definitely say that the vast majority of them are. And that's just another reality that we must confront. So you can call me whatever you like. I simply do not care. All I care about is pragmatic and rational thinking. So some of you are probably wondering, why has Arizona passed this bill now? Why have they waited so long? What has brought this on? Well, I'll tell you what's brought this on. an economic depression, the likes of which many people have never seen in their lifetimes. We simply cannot afford the illegal immigrant population in our state anymore. We cannot afford to educate their children in our public schools. We cannot afford to heal them when they show up at the ER, costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars. We cannot afford the increased cost from having to pay more for our auto insurance because they don't have any. We can't afford the increases in gas, in housing, in all the different respective areas because they drive costs up because there are so many of them. The problem has reached a critical point. We cannot take in any more people. We already have far too many. That is why our state has been forced to act. We must reduce the population to something that we can bear, a burden that we can shoulder at least. And the other aspect of this is that they are holding jobs that Americans need. Now, I was all for illegal immigrants before. When times were good, I don't care. It didn't bother me. No one cared. But the problem is that Americans need work now. And if there are 500,000 illegal immigrants in the state of Arizona, well, I'm pretty sure they're not all just living here for free. They probably have jobs. And those jobs can be held by Americans. If we could eliminate all the illegal immigrants in this state, our unemployment problem would be solved overnight. Just Google Pro Ranch Markets. It was a supermarket chain in the southwest United States, also I believe in Arizona, and they just recently terminated 300 employees who were found to be here illegally. Those 300 jobs can now be filled by Americans. This is cold. It's very cold. But in this new reality, in this new economy, we have to make hard choices. And I love my countrymen more than anything else. So if I have to choose between illegal immigrants and Americans, I have no choice but to choose my own first. Now let me talk honestly about the bill that's been enacted. Will this bill lead to racial profiling? Absolutely. Let's be real here. Let's be honest. Of course it's going to lead to racial profiling. Because guess who fits the profile? And it's not just people who are Hispanic. It's a certain type of people. You can easily pick them out anywhere you go if you have eyes. They're usually the ones in the really poor clothes, the ones who don't speak any English at all, and the ones who drive without auto insurance in the really poor cars. It's not hard to figure out who the illegals are. They're the ones standing on the streets for the day labor. Okay? Let's be real, alright? There, I said it. I know, it sounds racist, but it's reality. So yes, I'm sure that there will be a few Hispanic Americans caught up in this dragnet. But if you have a driver's license, if you speak English, it's mostly not going to affect you, no matter what you look like. So, before you start running around screaming, relax. In fact, if you don't even speak English, you'll have no idea what I'm saying, and you won't even be offended by this.